Breaking news, the judge has just issued a ruling.
The way I read this, I think that Baldoni won more than he lost.
Today, he's got more reason to celebrate.
Blake was like, you better make sure that my celebrity friends aren't brought out.
Justin Baldoni won again, but for some mysterious reason, Blake and her team are popping champagne like they just secured the biggest legal victory of the century. Seriously? Who loses and then acts like they won? Make it make sense.
I'm feeling pretty good on the Baldoni side. I think he mostly won. I think on the Lively side, I think that they probably feel like they didn't win. If I was on the Lively side, I'm like, well, we got a few things, but it isn't really what we wanted.
But let's break it down. What actually happened? Here's the real story. Not the sugar-coated version Blake's PR team is desperately trying to push. She went running to court, practically begging for a protection order. But why? Was it really about her precious private medical records? Or was this just another attempt to bury the truth before it could see the light of day?
This is Blake Lively's side trying to use mental health as a reason why they shouldn't air out their private messages.
The judge, obviously not buying whatever she was selling, asked her to explain herself. And what did she say? That she needed protection for medical records and security. Cute. But let's be real. That was never the actual goal. She wanted to lock down all the juicy, potentially career-destroying discovery materials in this lawsuit. And when the other side challenged her on it, allegedly of course, she quickly changed her tune. Suddenly, this wasn't about hiding everything, just about safeguarding her private medical records. And guess what? The judge granted it.
Breaking news, the judge has just issued a ruling.
Now, let's stop and think for a second. Why would Justin Baldoni even need access to her medical records? What does that have to do with this lawsuit? The answer? Nothing. But Blake made such a spectacle out of it that when she got the order, she acted like she had just won a major victory. Jumping, celebrating, probably texting all her little Hollywood friends that she beat Justin in court. Girl, sit down. Because here's the reality. This was not a win. In fact, it was far from it. The real stuff she wanted to keep under wraps, still out in the open. If this lawsuit goes to trial, everything she's desperately trying to hide will come out anyway.
What that means? Everything will come out at trial anyway.
Now, Blake is sinking. She thinks her lies and deception are fully protected by this attorney's eyes only filing. Honestly, it's a joke. The judge only granted the attorney's eyes only for 4 specific categories, not everything. And yet, she's out here celebrating like she just won the lottery. Newsflash, she hasn't won a thing. I mean, seriously, who in their right mind thinks medical records are the smoking gun in a sexual harassment lawsuit? Make it make sense.
All documents,
Yeah.
but there's going to be 4 categories of documents that they can use the attorney's eyes only designation.
Yeah, and they can use it unilaterally on these 4 categories, but not just everything.
And here's the kicker. This protection order isn't as airtight as Blake's team wants everyone to believe. If a client, meaning Justin Baldoni, sees something important, he can go straight to the judge and say, Your Honor, I need access to this evidence for XYZ reasons. And guess what? The judge can grant that request. Just like that. The attorney's eyes only ruling doesn't block that process. All it takes is proper permission, and boom, those so-called hidden receipts are out in the open. It's literally that simple.
And that's not to say that this will always be attorney's eyes only. So the parties have the right to go in and say, Your Honor, it's important that the client see this information, and the judge can allow that.
So why the wild celebration from Blake's team? You could probably hear the echoes in the courtroom when her lawyers started screaming, Yes, yes, we did it. But did they really? And let's not forget Brian Friedman, Blake's biggest nightmare. She has been trying so hard to silence him with a gag order, maybe because the thought of him exposing all the receipts has her losing sleep at night. The fear of those receipts being exposed had her shaking. Brian Friedman didn't just hit her with a lawsuit, he hit her into oblivion. And the panic in her camp was so real that they thought a gag order would be their golden ticket to damage control.
Justin Baldoni's camp is claiming a double standard after Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds requested a gag order for his lawyer, Brian Friedman.
But the judge wasn't having it. They were denied the order. The moment they got denied, you just know Blake and her team had a full-blown meltdown. They probably thought they had this in the bag, but the judge flat out refused to let them silence Friedman. And oh, the embarrassment. Imagine filing for a gag order thinking you're about to shut down the other side, only to be shut down yourself. And if that wasn't bad enough, they tried another desperate move. They wanted to stop Friedman from posting receipts online. But guess what? He wasn't playing nice. He reminded the court that Blake and her team were the ones who started airing everything out first. Let's not forget, she and her people were already running to major outlets like the New York Times, trying to control the narrative.
I'm blaming the New York Times for participating with Blake Lively's publicists.
So if they can do it, why can't he? The judge agreed. Another huge loss for Blake's team. And you just know her lawyers were sitting there, looking defeated, flipping through their legal textbooks like, what else can we even try at this point? Enter the protection order. This was supposed to be their saving grace, their master plan to cover up real-time evidence and keep confidential documents from leaking to the press. And at first, they probably thought they outsmarted Friedman, except they didn't. Because according to TMZ, Friedman is actually totally fine with this ruling. In fact, he agreed that Blake's medical records and security details should be protected. And why? Because that's not the information that matters in this case. He doesn't care about her personal medical history. What he does care about are the communications that completely contradict her accusations.
And told TMZ, we are fully in agreement with the court's decision to provide a narrow scope of protections to categories such as private medical health records and personal security that have never been of interest to us.
And guess what? Those cannot be hidden. The moment she or her team tries to suppress actual evidence, it's game over. Any attorney who even tries to play that game might as well kiss their career goodbye.
And he can punish people severely. If you, as a lawyer, want to lose your ability to practice law, do that kind of stuff.
Play those kind of games with the federal judge.
With the federal judge.
Yeah. So now Blake is stuck. She got her protection order, but the one person she desperately wanted to keep out of the loop, Brian Friedman, still has full access. Let that sink in. So tell me, why is she celebrating again? Let's not kid ourselves. This isn't a win. This is a delay tactic. The only difference now is that the public won't get a front row seat to everything unfolding. But don't worry, Brian Friedman is still in the driver's seat. And Blake? Oh, she's spiraling. She thought she was playing chess, but all she's done is trap herself. And where's her knight in shining armor, Ryan Reynolds? Ghost mode. Not a peep from him. Because now it's clear that this man is not about to throw his career into the fire for her. And what about her celebrity friends? Oh, they're distancing themselves. Which, by the way, is exactly why she was begging for that protection order, to keep those private conversations under wraps.
And what we're looking at and what's happening and the backlash and everything else, I can't imagine Blake's celebrity friends are happy that it's gotten to this point.
At the end of the day, Brian Friedman is running this show. What he wants to happen will happen. He's not backing down, and Blake? She's sinking in her own mess. She's walking on thin ice. The judge specifically warned her that this protection order was to be used sparingly.
Judge, however, cautions, mostly her, to use the attorney's eyes only, sparingly.
If she even thinks about misusing it, sanctions are coming, and we all know federal courts do not play. And considering Blake's history, let's just say, this might get ugly. So grab your popcorn and wear your florals because this story is far from over. And trust me, this is not the kind of drama Blake wanted. The real battle is just getting started, and if she thinks she's won anything, she's dead wrong. Stay tuned and subscribe because this is about to get messy.